Alright, let's do it. Morning stream time, guys. And that means time to make some clothing for Anton here. Working on this guy over here on the left, Anton Sokolov from Dishonored 2. And I was just about to put some eyebrows on him. If you weren't here for the night stream, we've done a lot of stuff to his face since then. Still not where we want it, but it's definitely a lot closer than we were in yesterday's morning stream if you weren't around for that. Both of those are up on my YouTube channel if you want to check them out. So if you miss anything or pop in here late, no worries. Got it all up there for you. I'm just doing a block out here for the eyebrows, essentially to figure out where I want them positionally, but I'll probably go back over them with the Meg hair clump and detail brushes. Might actually be a good time to just experiment with those. I don't know if I can use them in an appropriate way for our eyebrows, but we can try it. Anubis. The hairbrush from your video can't load in ZBrush. Did I download the corrupt file? There is no corrupt file. I assume you're on an older version of ZBrush. Make sure you're up to date with ZBrush 4R8P2. It's the newest version of ZBrush. And as long as everybody owns ZBrush, they should be able to update to the newest version and have that readily available for them. Just make sure that you're on the newest version, and you should be able to grab that for yourself. And that would be my guess, that it's just an older version and you can't import it correctly. The other ones work fine. I'm not sure what you mean by other ones. So just a quick little hair clump, starting off with that. And then we'll go into the hair detail brush down here. Try to do, ooh, you know what? Let's try getting rid of these polygroups here. Very strange. Not entirely sure why my hair clump brush there is acting up. Let's do this. Let's try that again. Yeah, I don't know why that's happening. Maybe my geometry has to be closed. Let's try that. Try a really low res mesh here as well. Very odd. Yeah, I don't know why that's happening there. Let me see if I can fix that. We might have to look at that later. Let's go back to what we were going to do previously, which was inserting a mask really fast here with our mask pen. Just to get a block out of our eyebrows. Just extract that. Looks a little thick. Other hair brushes that kind of insert in reverse, but they do work. Are you talking about the hair brushes that are you talking about the MAG hair brushes here? Are those the brushes that you're talking about? You have to be a little bit more specific. XMD hairbrush. The XMD hairbrush is not created by me, and I'm not the creator of that brush, so I can't remember the guy's name who makes those brushes, but you can go to his website. I've participated in one of his challenges in the past. But yeah, ask him, and I'm sure he can get you either an updated version of the brush or something else to maybe help you troubleshoot that. But yeah, definitely ask the creator. How do you place eyeballs to a face? I never know how far inside I should place the eyes. Asks Robert. Well, Robert, this is what you do. You grab a picture of a real person. I like to use myself for a lot of references. Maybe take a picture of yourself. Draw a line down from the brow. Draw a line down from the eyelid. Draw a line down from the tip of the eyeball. Draw a line down from the iris. Get yourself some measurement lines. Line everything up and place it that way. Draw a line down from the corner of the eye. Figure out where you need to place everything. Reference is extremely, extremely important. I would say that's going to be the best way for you to learn how to do that and be able to do it better in the future. No technicalities, in my opinion. That's absolutely false. The human skull is typically, there's a lot of rules and guidelines that go with it, especially for distance between eyeballs. Typically can have about one eye in between those in terms of distance. We have a little bit of a stylized character here though, so we're spreading those eyes a little bit farther out than they would probably normally be. But yes, there is technicality because there is anatomy that defines where that goes. So like I said, look up some real reference of some real humans, and I would recommend doing it that way, just to figure out where you want to place it. And then from there, you know, it'll be a lot easier in the future when you try to place more eyes. Essentially, you teach yourself. Then you never forget. Alright. That serves the purpose of placeholder, much like this serves the purpose of placeholder. We can turn that off for a sec. Lose interest over things that are technical. Well, the human form is extremely technically profound. What I recommend is you begin by sculpting what you know, so maybe what you might call what feels right, and starting that way, and then sculpt what you see. Just because starting with your technical knowledge and what you know about the human form first, and what you've learned and studied, it's gonna... There are some anatomical truths that hold true for pretty much everybody. One of those being the skeleton. And your ocular cavity in your skull. There's some slight differences in skulls. between everybody, but not enough that you wouldn't always place your eyeball in the same place. And everybody's eyeball is pretty close to the same size as well. Which, off the top of my head, what's the diameter? I don't even want to diameter millimeters eyeball. Is it 44? 11? $24. I don't know why I said 44. I knew it was something 4. So roughly 24 millimeters if you really want to get technical into it and start measuring everything. Which is a good way to do stuff if you want to make sure it's correct. My eyes are still a little bit big compared to our reference, so I think I could stand to scale some stuff down. No, don't do guessing. Guessing is very bad. Guessing is a terrible idea. No, aliens can look Earth-like, or like humans, I guess is what you're attempting to say there. But all things need to be grounded in reality, which is extremely important. No, an alien doesn't need to be based off of a human. It doesn't need to be humanoid. But if you're going to base it on, if you're going to make it look totally alien, it still needs to have some anatomical truth and correctness to it that physically could exist. It needs to be able to exist. It needs to be able to make sense. And for that to happen, you need to understand how a lot of this stuff works. And a lot of that stuff is translatable between a human character or a lizard. Like, a lizard's skull doesn't change. A lizard's skull doesn't bend and flex and deform. So if you're sitting here, you know, oh, I need to adjust the size of my skull, let me just do one of it's like, no, the skull isn't shaped like that. Understanding those things is very important, I think. How do they gather energy? I like that one. So we got our block out for our rough hair here, which is what I want to do so that I can begin creating a shirt and a little jacket. So let's do that. I guess the easiest way, I'm going to start with this blue one. Let's do, I guess, a cylinder, and then work our way up from there. Aliens gotta eat. It's true. This is true. Nope. Nope to that one. The lullaby of creation. Oh man. Sounds fancy. Kishan, unable to control mesh Dynamesh. Any for bust creation? Not entirely sure what you're asking there. Unable to control Dynamesh. Any for bust creation? Maybe you're asking for some tips. If so, just keep practicing with it. Keep playing with Dynamesh. It takes a long time to really get the hang of it and figure it out. Flame Striker, which tablet is better, Huion Pro or Wacom Control 671? I have no idea. But welcome to the stream, Flame Striker, as well as Kishan Sankla. Glad to have you with us. Thanks for joining. Which tablet is better? I would recommend, if you don't already have a graphics tablet, I'd recommend you grab something like an Intuos or a Bamboo Wacom tablet. Something cheap, something without a screen, and start with one of those. But if you already got one and you're looking to upgrade, I've never used either of those tablets, so I probably would not be the best person to ask to determine which one is better. I don't know everything about every piece of hardware, unfortunately. I wish I did, though. I don't know what the price differences are there. The Cintiq that you mentioned, or the Wacom CTL 671, I have no idea what that is. That sounds like an older tablet, an older Wacom tablet. But if it's Wacom, it's probably pretty good. But again, I would look at some Intuos tablets, or even a Bamboo tablet, Wacom Bamboo tablet. Wacom makes the best ones, for sure, in terms of quality and how well it's just gonna function in terms of its drivers and everything else. So I'd recommend Wacom, but whatever floats your boat. You're the one with the cash making the decision. Looks wobbly in jello. I assume you're talking about the Sculpt, or your Sculpt maybe, with Dynamesh. I don't know, I'd have to see your Sculpt and maybe get a better idea what your question is. Are you sponsored by Wacom? I am not sponsored by Wacom, but I love their products all the same. Good stuff. Good stuff. Welcome everybody, just popping in here. We're working on Anton Sokolov from Dishonored 2. Playing around with this guy. Trying to figure out where to take him next. and enjoy our early morning sculpts, our early morning streams. Somebody, Keyshawn, you were saying jello-y, if you're talking about your sculpt there. You got a lot of warble in your surface. Sounds like you're upping your resolution a little too fast. That's typically the problem there. So just kind of slow things down, drop your resolution lower for your Dynamesh, and try to work with it that way for a little while. You want to start really slow with your forms, and if you're still having trouble with some of that stuff, head on over to my YouTube channel, which you already are on. Go to my playlists, go to How to ZBrush, and there is a video in there on Dynamesh and all that stuff. How to ZBrush, Part 5, Dynamesh and ZRemesher. So I think go check out that video, and that should help you with a bunch of that stuff and how to work with all that. So check that out. That'll probably get you where you need to go. Will you ever do a how not to ZBrush? That video would take forever to make. Looks like the beard you created now. So there's just polygons visible? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you're asking. I apologize. I don't understand your question. I can subdivide it. Control D, so there's no more fractaling there of your polygons. Sounds like you probably want to work your form a little bit more though. you have a full-length video, start to finish, of your sculpts. If you want to watch in real time, you can go back through my live streams and watch those all in real time. Or if you want some speed sculpts, some time lapses, that kind of thing, that's on my YouTube channel as well. Do you have a place where you have an entire collection of custom brushes? I give away custom brushes on my Patreon all the time. If you go to patreon.com/Follygon, I give a bunch of brushes and stuff away on here with my 3D files tier. And you get finished projects and all sorts of other stuff on there. On my Gumroad page as well, if you want my main sculpting brush, my 14 main sculpting brushes that I use all the time, that's on my Gumroad as well, if you want to get just that. But yes, I give custom brushes away on my Patreon quite often. What's the best way to do this? Cloak. Or jacket. Whatever you want to call it. It's more like a trench coat. You got base meshes too? Why didn't I check it before? I don't know. I'm not in control of what you click on. Yeah, on my, he's talking about on my Gumroad page, there's some, the materials that I use, so my Follygon clay materials. This is my black and white clay material that I'm using right now. It's my favorite material to sculpt with. So there's that one on there. There's my base mesh, my female base mesh that I use for a lot of my projects and stuff. And then there's a bunch of other Patreon packages and there's a couple free things on there as well if you're interested in free stuff, which I think most people are. But there's some paid stuff on there as well if you're interested in sculpting like Follygon. That's me. Alright, I'm thinking about how I want to create this jacket. Oh, backface masking. So currently what I'm doing is I'm inserting a negative geometry piece in here to dynamesh it out. It's kind of the old school way of doing things, but it still works and it's quick. But I can't use backface masking on it because the normals on that mesh piece are actually flipped. But you get the idea there with the flip, with the subtraction. So it works pretty well for quick stuff. Why no gender neutral base mesh? I haven't got around to making a male base mesh. I wouldn't want to do a gender neutral base mesh. I would like to do a male as well on there. And I used to have a couple things. They're not that great of quality though, so I don't put them up on there. But I have stuff that I use, as well as stuff from other people that I use on occasion. Most of the time though, I like to create stuff from scratch, but if I'm in a hurry or I don't feel like creating a base mesh, I'll just use one of those. But I don't know if I don't think I would do a gender neutral. I mean, if anything, there's a subtool there for the breasts of the character. You can turn those off and adjust proportions accordingly if you're trying to get something more gender neutral. Gender neutral in terms of your character could go so many different ways proportionally though. It'd be pretty hard to make something that case fits everything available. So I don't know if that's something that I would be interested in making in the future. Probably more just of a male base mesh, like I said. Do you think it's more constructive to always start from scratch? Absolutely, 100%. I usually work with base shapes, editing my old base meshes. You will learn a lot more and you will become much faster at sculpting if you always start from scratch. Because the beginning parts of sculpting, your proportions and all that is the part that takes the longest amount of time and is the hardest to accomplish. So starting from scratch, if your objective is to learn as much as possible, is the best route to go. But if you're extremely comfortable with your ability to create your primary forms for your character or whatever you're attempting to accomplish, then by all means use a base mesh and get on with it. I would say it depends what your goals are. Just trying to kind of figure out how I want to make this collar. Colors can be tough. By the material section, you accidentally click something and it makes everything white and flat shaded. I'm not sure what I do that makes it do that. I don't know either. By the material section. On your keyboard, I don't know, you can always, if you're sculpting and press the V key, it switches your colors there. It activates this hotkey, which makes everything look black. In materials, I don't know, there's just the flat color material. Honestly, other than that though, I don't know what you could be clicking off the top of my dome. It's all sorts of little things that you can do to screw up in ZBrush. Let's do, whoops, mirror and weld. Ooh, this is some fun music. I think I figured it out. I think it's the click and drag on the material ball. That could be it. I don't know if that changes your light or what. Yeah, I don't know what clicking and dragging on your material does. Yeah, I don't know. If you didn't know, you can hold control over anything in the ZBrush UI and it'll give you some info about that item. That's all I know about control for that. It does just select the flat material. Huh. Yeah, that was my guess. Geronimo? I don't think that's... Yes, Geronimo. I don't think that's the right word. Geronimo is the one you say when you're about to dive off of something real tall. Or make a big leap. I think you're looking for Eureka. Eureka! Click on the left side of the ball, and click and drag downward. You can also just press the C key on your keyboard, and the C key, well, I'm pressing B, sorry. The C key, no matter where you hover it, will select that color as your active color. So see my colors over here? If I press the C key over my UI, I can change it to that color. So just holding the C key, I can just kind of click and drag it around and make it the color of my canvas. Again, that red, this yellow, the background. I can even make it colors on my dude here and select these colors just by holding the C key and moving my mouse around. Pretty useful. Alright, so there's this V shape we can attempt to capture here. Alright, getting there. Got a little bit of collar shape. Try to thin this guy out up here. How long did it take you to get good at ZBrush? I'll let you know when I get good at ZBrush. Yeah, I don't know. It depends. I don't have the exact number of hours that I have been sculpting in ZBrush, but it definitely takes a long time to get some decent results. ZBrush is, in terms of the software is pretty hard to learn, but once you learn it, you're all set to go, and learning all the new features when those come out isn't very hard, not very hard at all. So I'd say learning ZBrush is really easy, but the software does definitely have a learning curve that people are typically not prepared for. What everyone is not prepared for the most part, almost everyone, is that ZBrush is a sculpting program and not a 3D modeling package. It is to an extent, but for the most part it's digital sculpting. And digital sculpting is the same traditional knowledge with digital sculpting is the same traditional stuff that you have to know for that. So form, knowing how to control your surface, it's partially learning the program, partially just learning how to sculpt. They're things that are not easy. It takes a long time to learn how to do these things well. But yeah, it's a long process for sure. In terms of getting good at ZBrush, though, getting good at sculpting, I'll let you know when that day comes. There are things that I've been proud of before that I've made, but typically, you know, after a couple weeks, I'll look back on it and I'll be like, meh, should have spent longer time on it. You never finish anything in art, right? The old saying, nothing's ever finished, it's only abandoned. I think that holds pretty true to most things. Like I said, if you're not already a sculptor and you're trying to learn ZBrush, most people are in for a pretty rude awakening. Because the software, I mean, honestly, the software isn't, I mean, it's crazy. It's like a crazy user interface. Like, look around at it. It's like no other program that exists in the world. But, turn that down a little bit. It's still pretty crazy. After all that software knowledge, it's like, oh, now I have to get good at sculpting. Well, crap. See you in 10 years. You never stop getting better. Until you do. Gotta keep up the practice and the work. It's kind of like riding a bike, but at the same time, new tools are always getting developed, right? So you gotta keep up with a lot of that stuff. Huh. How do I want to connect that there? I do know how to use Maya, and I do use Maya, I just don't use it very frequently. I typically stay here in ZBrush. I hate Dynamesh. Thing is always deforming my mesh. Get good. Practice with it. It's not easy to get used to, not easy to learn, like I said. But once you figure it out, I think you'll get the hang of it. You seem like a smart cookie too. I think you can do it. Heck, if I can do it, I think you can do it too. Anybody can do it, if I can do it. What do you use Maya for? If I'm going to need Maya, I would use it for UVs because I don't have 3D code anymore. Nah, animation. But like I said, I don't do a ton of that stuff anymore. Mainly make stuff for figures, collectibles, 3D print. And all that can be done right here. Do you actually use Dynamesh? Looks like you're sticking to the basic polymesh and subdividing. Yeah, I use Dynamesh all the time. I interchange between them. I use Dynamesh to connect his neck to his head, and his lower jaw to his upper jaw, and all sorts of other stuff. Yeah, I use Dynamesh all the time. I learned what I thought was a majority of ZBrush's functions. Turns out I know maybe 4% of it. Sounds about right. There's some Dynamesh for you, if you're wondering where the Dynamesh is. Now, mesh a lot of the time is used for Boolean operations. Before the advent of ZBrush 4R8, we did not have live Boolean, this feature up here. We didn't have that, so the only way we could do Boolean ops was through Dynamesh. Dynamesh doing positive and negative subtractions. And when you're working on toys and trying to do stuff with that, yeah, you can end up with some pretty rough results a lot of the time. So there's some tricks that you have to do to get around a lot of that stuff, to keep it really clean. And it can be hard to do that a lot of the time. It can be difficult. But there's some tricks to it. I think it all just kind of comes with practice, though. I am self-taught. Too many video tutorials, blah. Grab yourself some books. I have some books recommended down in the description. The books that I used to learn when I was starting out, as well as some other stuff that might be helpful. Highly recommend those books. What's your plan for this guy's hair? Asks Orion. Glad to have you with us, Orion. For his hair, we are going to be using the Meg Hair Clump and Hair Detail Brush brushes. I made a video tutorial on how to use those brushes just yesterday. So if that's something that interests you, go ahead and check out those tutorials. Just posted them yesterday again. So we're going to be playing with those. I haven't used them on a character yet, so we will see how it goes, but I'm excited to try it out. I've played with the brushes a couple times, but not on an actual character. We shall see, though. See how it goes. We will get to hair. Probably, well, we might play around with it today. I don't know. Maybe in tonight's stream. Books, blah, video tutorials for the win. Nah, man, nothing beats a book. In my opinion. I just want to learn XGen hair in Maya. Can you please teach? I've never used XGen hair in Maya, so no, I cannot teach you. I'm sure there's plenty of good tutorials online for you to learn from, though. Hey dude, try learning this at 44 years old when your brain doesn't want to learn anything new. Dude, 44 is the new 25. I have to do these tutorials like 20 times before they stick. Aging sucks. I don't know, I don't think 44 is that old. Never too old to learn something new until you actually are. If you have an art background though, especially sculpturally speaking, it's going to help you a lot if you're in ZBrush. Honestly, if you already know how to sculpt and you want to get into ZBrush, yeah, you're going to be awesome. You're going to do great. You're going to be just fine, trust me. Because that's the hard part of ZBrush, the actual sculpting. Software, nah, doesn't matter. My recommendation, if you're kind of just starting out, learning some stuff, and you want a little bit of a head start. Oh no, our stream health is red. That's not good. Don't want that. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. But if you're just starting out in ZBrush, or maybe if you're struggling with your education, check out my How to ZBrush series on YouTube. It's just a free series of videos that I made to get people up and running in ZBrush as quickly as possible. I go through all the stuff that I think you need to learn immediately in ZBrush to, oh no, video's lagging, to be successful, to get up and running, like I said, as quickly as possible. It's a free series. Check it out. If it's all stuff that you know, good on you. But I think reiterating some of that stuff and me showing you how I use those tools can also be very helpful, even if you already know how to use Dynamesh, but maybe you're shit at using Dynamesh. Check them out. That's why I made them. I made them for you, beautiful people. It's got like a single button on this thing. Let's see. Old 2D animator, now trying to stay current. Resisted CG for a long time. Well, if you're an old 2D animator, it means you already have all the essential knowledge for a lot of great stuff, a lot of artistic principles that will, I think, translate over to a lot of this stuff. If you're a 2D animator, why would you learn 3D if you have that many years of experience? Like, learn Photoshop and learn digital painting and do that. That sounds like the better path to go instead of translating 2D to 3D. It seems a little backwards. But I mean, you obviously know what you're doing. You know what you want to do. For how long are you sculpting in ZBrush? Well, we're at 1 hour and 20 minutes. So probably go about 45 more-ish. Hit around the 2-hour mark today for our morning stream, and I'll probably be doing a night stream tonight as well. No Photoshop, no 2D animation jobs anymore. I know there are. Might be more competitive though, for sure. Big fan of the ZModeler tools, as am I. ZModeler is pretty great. ZModeler is not better than Maya's poly modeling tools. I do like the fact that I can stay in ZBrush, but it's frankly not better than Maya's poly modeling tools, because that's what it's intended for. There's a lot more power there in terms of different functions that you can do to your polygons. But I enjoy that in ZBrush I can use the poly modeling tools in tandem with all my other ZBrush tools, and it just creates a workflow that's really nice. Oh, big old turd is our face. We'll get it closer though. All in good time. Down thumb. Next up is Fusion by Heaven. ZModeler is not precise at all. It has no metric system, nothing, but it's good for ZBrush. I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. Of course it's precise. It does exactly what I want it to do. You can't move something by a specific number of units, but you got this little guy here, which you can measure with, and if you know how to use ZBrush very efficiently, you can get some very accurate measurements. But ZModeler is precise, absolutely. Hey, don't go spreading misinformation. You can actually set ZModeler to step specific number amounts with certain tools. It's what these are. Align to specific number of steps. You can align a full step to double the size of a polygon, half steps, and a lot of different interactions that you have down here to mess with. But it's definitely accurate. Accuracy is not the issue. We're just missing a lot of tools that make things a lot easier in Maya. But this is a sculpting program, so that's to be expected. Rohit says, long time no see. Glad to have you back, Rohit. Welcome to the stream. If you want a 10-meter wall in a 2-meter diameter circle, I don't know how to do that. Well, guess what? I do. And you can absolutely do that. I do know what polygon extraction is, and that you can extract polygons in ZModeler. You can also extract polygons through the extraction little tool here by masking polygons and extracting them as such. But yeah, you can create a 10-meter high wall and a 2-meter diameter circle or cylinder. It's not hard. Not hard at all. Other 3D programs, they give you a little handhold. What a lot of people don't realize about OBJ files and a lot of 3D objects is that you are not given a measurement size with those. If you save out an OBJ and open it in a note file, nowhere in there will you find that it says this OBJ is in inches or centimeters or millimeters or anything. It doesn't. It's just how OBJs work. It's how 3D files work a lot of the time. It's just units, and that's what ZBrush has up here, units. So that transpose line right there is 1.7 units long. You have to define in ZBrush what your units represent up here. And after you do that, you can then measure and organize everything the way you want. You can use your size panel, which I have these all up here. There are better ways to do it with your transpose line and a couple other things. Awesome character reference. Can't wait to see the end result. Same here. Extracting a polygon through a polygon line. I assume you're talking about an edge, not from the polygon square. You can extrude edges, so I don't know. I might have to see what you're talking about. All right. We're gonna mess with hair down the road once we get there. But I'm just kind of starting to break symmetry a little bit, as I need to eventually, and F it. We'll just start start doing it now. We need to get there. Just trying to keep with these big lines that I have right now so that I can knock some stuff back and build up form as I go. You're talking about the edges that connect faces. You can extract those in ZBrush, but I might not be understanding the function that you're describing exactly. Maybe extract isn't the correct word? I'm not sure. You'll have to send me a link. Our placeholder hair is letting us reference really well some stuff here, just so we can find out where some lines need to exist and where some proportions need to change. I still would really like to make my eyes smaller. Every step of the way I'm just like, no, smaller, beadier eyes. Can't send no links. That's okay. If you want to send me a link on Discord, I can check it out, for sure. Thank God for the new Gizmo 3D tool. What? You don't like the transpose line? So many cool hidden functionalities in it that you probably don't know about. Very cool things. Wow. I use it all the time. I love the transpose tool. Was not able to watch the Bowser Jr. stream and had so many questions asked through it. Oh, I'm sorry about that. You can still go back and watch them at least. Can't send links, you're so close. Meant to say Gizmo, darn keyboard. Music is so cool. Music is cool, isn't it? I'm using this little web app called Pretzel. Here Again by Approaching Nirvana. But yeah, it's all copyright-free music, so I don't get copyright strikes during the stream. YouTube is pretty strict about that stuff, and it can be frustrating. So, there we go. Alright, we'll keep playing with this guy in the face. The scary song is cool. app.pretzel.rocks. And you can create your own little playlist. But yeah, some pretty sweet music on there. I am currently listening to the Chill Station. Chill it up. Chill Nation. I only learned booleans for the first time this morning after my character's legs got meshed together in Dynamesh. Gotcha. Some say that drawing can improve your sculpts. What do you think about that? Yeah, I think so. Depends how good or bad you are at both of those things. I think there's a lot of fundamental things that can translate between those two, and I think just working on your visual library. Yeah, I think you practice a lot of the same skills in both, but I think the act of doing the separate things are completely separate. So what I mean by that is that in sculpting, I practice, maybe looking at a reference and attempting to copy that character, or maybe, so that's like one thing that you could translate to also working on 2D. If you're looking at something in real life and you're trying to copy those skills are applicable between those two things. So seeing your visual library of just understanding different things and how to create different forms, I think a lot of that can translate. But again, the act of drawing and sculpting, they're so different. You're working with three-dimensional form in one, and you're falsifying that three-dimensional form in the other in 2D. And that's what 2D is all about. Using value, light and shadow, white and blacks to create the illusion of depth and actual 3D form. Whereas in sculpting, you're actually creating that three-dimensional form. So there might be some stuff that translates there as well, but I think practicing art definitely does help in all these things. But if you want to be a 2D artist, hell, practice 2D. Roke, hello, welcome to the stream, welcome back. I tagged you in help showing you what I meant. No worries, I'll check it out here in a sec. It doesn't look like you use polygroups while sculpting. I do, just I don't have them visible. Here's a couple polygroups, a few. I have one separating the lower jaw from the upper. I'm just not in need of them currently. I have to use them to solo certain areas where mesh can get in the way. Do you use them while sculpting? Yes, yes I do. I use polygons and separate subtools to do exactly that. So, this is in the way. Let me just hide the beard, and I'll do that. So similar idea. Or this lower jaw, I want to be able to sculpt on this upper lip here, so I'll hide that and be able to sculpt on that. That's what I am using them for currently. You know what would be good now? Obey the Beard by Psychostick. Cool YouTuber. Obey the Beard? Sounds fun. I'm assuming that's a song. Not too familiar with it. Sounds fun though. I don't know if it's copyrighted or what, but I'll stick to my pretzel for the time being. How many years will it take me to be like you? Answer in Spanish. I don't speak Spanish, so I can't do that. I don't know. How good are you now? How quickly do you learn? Do you learn faster or slower than I do? I have no freaking clue, man. I can't answer that for you. A long time if you're starting from 0. Many years. How do you save your files? Often. Frequently. So while I'm working, I'll typically, you know, come up here and just tap Quick Save. And if you go into your Lightbox Quick Save files, I'll have a bunch of quick saves in there. You can see going on. So there's all my dudes from sculpting this session, plus a couple recovered files in here. So on crashes, those get saved. And then in Preferences, Quick Save in here, I have my options set for that. That restoration should not be on 1. That's absurd. I need to change that in my preferences and save that. And then if I'm going to save a file, always save the Z tool file up here. Tool, save as. That will save your file here as a Z tool. That will be 1/10 the size of a project file. Never save the project file. Only save the project file if you know why you want to save the project file. If you don't know why you're saving the project file, don't save the project file. The only reason you should be saving the project file it's twofold. If you need to save multiple tools, so in here, if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters all in one project that I want going on, save the project. I don't recommend saving that way because that file is going to be freaking ginormous. I would recommend that you save 5 separate tool files, Z tools. It's going to be 1/10 the size again of that ZPR. Or the only other reason you should save as a ZPR is if you are trying to save your undo history, which 99.9% of the time you should not be doing. You don't need it. Really, the only time you need it is if you're attempting to make a cool time lapse, or if you're just really unsure of what you're doing and you don't, yeah, I might need the undos. You don't. You don't need the undos. You're fine. You don't need them. I would just save the Z tool all the time. When people send me files, this used to happen in a professional setting. People would send us ZBrush files, and they'd send us ZBrush projects with only a single Z tool in them and no undo history saved. It's a joke. You're sending this over the internet. You're Dropboxing or emailing or whatever it is. You're sending us this file, and you're sending it to us in something that's 10 times larger than it should be. It's totally absurd, and it's because people don't know any better. You should be saving your Z tool. But that's like a sure way to, if you're sending your project to be looked at by somebody, like maybe for a job, that's a sure way to like immediately, in my opinion, get laughed at. Like I would laugh at it. I would laugh at you. I have no problem just being immediately like, idiot, why'd you do that? Why did you send us a file that's 10 times larger than it needs to be? So yes, if you don't want to look like an idiot to your future employers, save that Z tool off. My dang brushes aren't saving with my custom UI. Storing config don't work. Aroo. That's fun. Yeah, if you load a brush in, storing your configuration doesn't save your brushes in ZBrush. You have to save your brushes to your brushes folder in your installation folder. If you watch my How to ZBrush video, I cover how to do that in the very first episode, episode 1. So if you want to learn how to save your brushes, watch that one. How to ZBrush, episode 1. Very useful. A lot of this music sounds very Zelda inspired. I'm into it. Adonis by Synth and Jasper. You work in some company. You answer with your hands, since I do not speak English. Ah, answer with my hands. Okay. No, I do not work at a company any longer. I used to work full-time as a digital sculptor making toys. Full-time making toys. So all sorts of little toys and stuff. This is the first toy I ever worked on. It's a Barbie for Mattel. I've also done stuff for Tomy and that kind of stuff. Toys and amusement park figures and museum figures. Now I do freelance work. I miss the days when the only keyboard shortcut I had to remember was, wait, there was none. Hey, I don't miss those days. I'll take hard to remember keyboard shortcuts any day over not having any keyboard shortcuts. For sure. Give me all them keyboard shortcuts. Thanks for understanding and answering. Don't know if I asked you, but is 30 euros per model too much or too cheap? For a guy, I told him to pay me only 30 euros. Mostly because he... I mean, it depends on the quality of your work. Depends on the quality of the work and how long it takes you to make something. This is dependent on a billion different things and how much money you need to make. And if it's something you're gonna sell many times over. What do you think about Cinema 4D? I think it's a 3D program. I don't use it. I think it's a 3D package much like Maya or 3ds Max or 3D Coat or Modo. They're all pretty much the same and they offer slight benefits for everything. Maya is the industry standard for rigging and animation. Max is legacy software, and it would cost companies millions of dollars to switch over and even more in time to train up their employees and switch their entire pipelines. So a lot of people can't switch from Max. Max also has some modeling package stuff that isn't quite as easy to do in Maya. Modo is the new guy on the block. It's clean. Cinema 4D is used in a lot of advertisements and that sort of work. If you really want to get into 3D modeling, Cinema 4D is not the one that I would recommend that you use. If you're into making little simulations and small little animations and videos, Cinema 4D can be very good for that. Kind of depends. Depends what you're looking for. Depends what you're trying to learn, what you're trying to do with the software. One-time sell. Making an anime model for some animations. Yeah, I don't know. You have to determine the price for yourself, I think. I don't think I can tell you what to charge for your work. I just saw a video you made called 2D artists are cheaters. It's true! 2D artists are damn cheaters. Yeah, it's a good one. It's just me ranting about 2D artists. 2D artists are dirty little cheaters. No, that's not true. But 2D artists can cheat in a lot of things. So like, I want to make this concept and make it in 3D. Well, the 2D artist didn't exactly intend for this 2D concept to be translated to 3D, so there's maybe some things that don't really work in reality. 2D is the faking of perspective, the faking of 3D form. So there's always going to be some inaccuracies there. Whether you can convert them and make them in 3D, though, is another thing entirely. But yeah, that's why 2D artists are dirty little cheaters. I can cheat a little bit on some things, but for the most part, 3D artists are pretty restrained to creating real forms here. Methinks you are jelly. Maxstore says, I didn't understand anything, but thanks for answering. That's okay. No worries. What about Blender? Blender's another piece of software, and it's free. Use it if you want to use free software. Try them out. Try out some trials of the stuff that's paid. Form your own damn opinions. I'm not trying to be mean there, but I'm not the end all be all of, you know, what software you should use. Don't ask me or any other random freaking person online, like, what should I be using? Figure it out for yourself. If you want to learn digital sculpting, use the industry standard. Use ZBrush. If you're just starting out and you don't know anything about 3D modeling, download Blender. It's free. I see no reason why you shouldn't do that. I have to do some eyelashes, all sorts of good stuff here. Blender is so hot. I learned ZBrush because I wanted to know the best and hardest to learn. Like I said, the software, if you get held up on the software, if that's like the hardest thing for you to learn, you're effed. Because after you learn the software of ZBrush, you have to learn how to sculpt, and that is much more difficult than learning ZBrush. Trust me. Like I said, though, if you come in knowing how to sculpt already, you have a huge advantage over a lot of people. Your sass is funny, yeah. It's a pity that the best content about 3D is in English. It's the language of the internet. I don't know what to tell you. English is one of the easiest languages to learn? What? No. No, it's not. English is like reputed as being a very difficult language to learn. Ah, check this out. Ooh, I might have just cleared my mask, but I have a mask on here, and I need to clear it. Wasn't allowing me to sculpt. Sometimes your masks aren't visible to you after you're hiding and unhiding subtools. It can get a little funky. Nikes. Nah, that's okay. We'll leave it. It is not a convoluted language like Italian. I'm not a huge fan of Italian. I tried to learn Italian when I was in college and wasn't a big fan. English is your friend. Absolutely. Not enough immersion. That's why when I was in college, I went to Tokyo and studied Japanese. It was like, learn the language or get out. That was some pretty good immersion. But I don't really have too many people to speak Japanese with, so my Japanese isn't as good as it used to be. Learning some French. I don't know any French. Just English and Japanese. And of course, like every American, little tidbits of Spanish. Spanglish, they might call it. That's what English is, to speak English or die. Bon courage. Nice. Spanish is the language of tacos. You must know Spanish to be able to order a decent taco. Bon courage. I like that. That's funny. They say that, well, this I guess would be not a good case, but once you start making jokes in another language, that's when you start to get a better grasp of that language. But that was more of a Fringlish joke, French English. So that was a little cheating, but we'll take it. We'll take what we can get. You hate all the Latin-derived languages. I like Latin root words. I think they're pretty cool. Robert's heading out. Later, Robert. Thanks for stopping in. I agree about the jokes. That's how you know. That's how you know when you start getting knowledgeable. Google Translator does have some really funny translations, especially if you speak the other language that you're translating into. I think most of the time you can tell when somebody's using Google Translator, but for what it is, Google Translator is awesome. It does a really good job, and it's free. I mean, can't complain about that. Would you say it's wise to never subdivide past 5 subdivisions? No, it just depends. What am I on right now? I'm on 5, but I'm at 5 million polys here. I mean, it just depends what your poly count is and what you're trying to achieve. I have a question about anatomy. Shoot. Shoot away. Is it better to working with base meshes, or your old work be creative, or is it better to start from the beginning each time to perfect anatomy? Somebody asked this question earlier. If you're attempting to improve as much as possible, start from scratch, start from 0, goose egg, start from nothing every time. To learn those initial stages as best as you can, because those stages of sculpting are very difficult. It's the hardest part of your sculpt is getting your base forms into place, and learning those is going to be very important for you and very helpful. But if you want a good base mesh, go to this guy. No, go to gumroad.com/Follygon. Go there and download this female base mesh, and then there's a bunch of other cool free stuff on here, as well as some other paid stuff like my brushes and my materials. But if you want a good base mesh, go check out that one on gumroad.com/Follygon. Check it out. But yeah, I recommend, if learning is your biggest goal, start from nothing every time. A base mesh is just a shortcut. A base mesh is a way to get your base forms down a lot faster than you would normally. And that's all it is. It's used in production just because your objective in production is to speed things up, to sculpt them faster and get things done quicker. So if you're in a production setting, by all means, cheat in every way imaginable to get to your end product quicker. You are a great 3D artist, a good business. Man, it took me a while back and forth translating, and it seems that Google Translate became good. Well, I don't know. You're a great 3D. Well, thank you. Thank you. Where to learn anatomy for 3D? Link? Question mark. Holy poop giblets! Your 2D art was cheating. Not that your 2D art was cheating, but that you're cheating some things that don't necessarily translate to 3D very, very well. Good job. Ah, I see. Nice. Yeah, Google Translate. Google Translate does a fairly good job. But stuff like that in English, like good job at that thing that you just did. That doesn't. We have a lot of stuff like that in English that's really hard to translate as point proven there, as it translated it back to good business. Good business. Like, yes, business is a synonym for job. And when you translate the word job, like that just doesn't really work in other languages. I forget what those are called off the top of my head. Let's see. I had to go through Armenian and Japanese to get that translation. Stuff like, hey, do you want to hang out? Like, hang out doesn't exactly work. And in Japanese, you ask somebody if they want to go play. Like, that could be taken some weird ways in other languages if you directly translated that. Like, oh, what does that mean? To go play. It's like, I don't know. Don't know about that one. Hang out might be interpreted as suicide. Yeah, maybe. I doubt it, but I don't think that would translate directly. It just so happens that our slang for the word hang ended up meaning like to get together. That probably is not the case in other languages. Why don't you work for movies? I don't know. I don't know why I don't work for movies. Do you use a Wacom? What tablet do you use? Scroll down in the description and you will see a link to the exact tablet that I use. All of the tools that I use are actually linked down in the description. It's a fancy Cintiq. Yes, it is. Don't work on one for 4 years. Maybe. We'll see. Just need to make some better art first. Which is why we're here today. Sculpting the day away. None of the neck matters, so I'm really just kind of blocking in clay. All of that's going to be covered up, so I really don't care about it. Do you like to model Japanese anime characters? I don't know if I've ever done a specific anime character, but sure. Sure, why not? It'd be cool to do a character and a collectible or something. Have you seen Jumanji? I've seen the old Jumanji many times. I have not seen the new Jumanji movie, though. I really like the old one. It's a good movie. It's got one of the best actors of all time in it. Next time on Dragon Ball Z, nothing happens. Dragon Ball ZBrush. Next time, we will continue sculpting. Oh boy. Yeah, that's pretty much the same thing here. nothing happens. And now it's a... Things happen, they just happen slowly. Much like in Dragon Ball Z. Should merge our ears down eventually, I guess. Oh. Was it really that hard to get used to the place and find a job? People say it's a torture because of how unused we are to their world. No. The language barrier is the biggest issue, but I was only there for a few months. I wasn't there for very long, and I did not have a job while I was there. The only job that I could have gotten was with my visa, just working in like a restaurant temporarily, and I might not have even been able to get that with the length of time that I was there. So things are definitely very different there, though, than anywhere else. I mean, that's true for everywhere. But I liked it. I liked it a lot while I was there. I had a good time. Do you have an ArtStation profile? I do. Go ahead and look it up. Or just go to artstation.com/Follygon. That's probably it. I'm gonna watch your tutorials and stuff. Well, cool. Do it. Weeaboos always think Japan is this amazing land of enlightenment, and in reality, every American I know who went there wanted to come back. Yeah, I mean, when I was there, by the time I was done, I was ready to come back. But I definitely enjoyed my stay there, and I would love to go back and visit again. I had a really fun time. It was definitely not easy though. I spent the whole time studying Japanese. But, like I said, I'd go back. I like that he said a land of enlightenment. That's not really what I think of when I think of Japan. You live in Japan? Answer with your head. I don't know if you said head last time, but I used my hand. No, I do not. I do not live in Japan. I did for a short time. Alright, let's see here. Adjust my light back up. Play with it from a couple different angles and look at this. But I think that's going to be where we cut the stream for today, guys. We've done a lot of work on here, on this guy. Let's see if we can scrub back through. All the way back to when we started, as it lags and figures out what it wants to do. There we go. Alright, so here is where we started and all the changes we have made since then. So definitely a lot of good stuff, a lot of progress, I think. And I think we're getting there. I think we're getting closer to where we want to be. Still a lot of work that needs to be done. Still a lot of things that need to change and happen here. But until then, until next time on our stream, we will make them at that time. So probably tonight, do another night stream if you guys are around. And if not, no worries, but we'll be streaming tomorrow morning as well. Let's see here. Yes, tomorrow morning and tonight. So if you're around, join me for that. And I guess with that, I hope to see you guys in the next stream, next video, whatever we got going on. Don't forget, later today, actually, the second episode, I'm kind of reminding myself so that I can finish editing and upload it, but the second episode of Art Anonymous, the podcast that my friend Daryl and I are recording. The second episode of that goes up today, so I'm excited for that and to get you guys to listen to that and maybe get some feedback, some questions and that kind of thing. But until then, definitely be on the lookout for that. I'll shoot out a tweet or post it on Facebook or wherever if you guys are following me on social media. If not, please do so you're aware when that goes up and when I'm streaming and all that jazz. But yeah, until next time, I'll see you guys then. So see you guys. Hope you guys have a great day, great night, or whatever you got going on for the rest of your day. All right. See you guys later.